What is the most awkward accidental physical contact you've had with the opposite sex? Playing Marco Polo in the pool. I'm walking around the pool with my eyes closed and hands stretched out all Frankenstein-like. Hear a girl to my right. I turn. I know from her voice it's the girl with a massive rack. I've got her trapped in the corner. I know it. I reach for it, and I poked her in the eye as she tried to run away. So close. Girl tripped on a chair and her hand landed on my dick. As a reflex my hand swung up and hit her boob. Your life is an anime. Went to come from behind and wrap my arms around my wife just to feel them against her tits. Also said, "Hey sexy" when doing so. Wasn't paying attention and did it to my mom instead. Holy shit, that's grounds to move to South America. I accidentally sat on a man's hand on the train once. I was a teenager and wearing a mini sundress, and I sat down right on his hand without noticing it. It sounds improbable, but the chair was bucket-shaped and his hand was in the dip. So I'm just sitting there, listening to my iPod on the train, and this guy taps me on the shoulder with his other hand and says, "I'm sorry but this is my stop." I was so embarrassed. And that's the story of the first time I got to second base. He put his hand there as you were sitting down. You made his day. Dear diary, the accidental hand on the seat trick finally worked. Sitting back to back with a friend. I'm a guy. She's a girl. I reach behind myself to try and give her a behind the back hug and I just grab a bunch of boob. She is a well-endowed individual, so I grabbed a bunch. Later on she grabbed my crotch, so I'm not sure if she was 100% against me grabbing her boobs. Me and few other friends were walking through the woods and this girl in front of me jumped on top of this tree trunk and fell back. I caught her by the waist and my hands somehow slid under her shirt and I somehow found myself awkwardly grabbing her boobs. We later dated for a year. Somehow, one swift, thoroughly practiced motion. Going to punch a friend jokingly, he dodges. Very ugly fat girl behind him takes the hit directly to her left hip. Awkward as F. So today I was walking behind a girl, who then decides to stop abruptly and I went dick first into her ass, in front of all her friends. She pretended to be offended then quickly apologized and walked away. I should also say she said she was just kidding. Rubbing my leg on the table's leg during math class. Turns out it was the leg of the girl sitting next to me. If she didn't pull away right as you started then you're in. Well, time to put on the idiot helmet. I did it for like 10 minutes before she even moved a muscle. I was totally convinced it was the table leg. Imagine my surprise when it moved. You should have just kept going pretending not to notice it wasn't the table leg. I may have screamed a little when she moved. Well, not exactly screamed, more like yelped. Standing on a train in Tokyo. First off, I'm white with light brown hair that curls up in loose ringlets after a certain length. My hair was exactly at this magic length at the time, meaning I looked a bit like a bespectacled sheep. So I'm just minding my own business standing by a window reading a book when I feel something gently tugging at my scalp. Confused, I turn around. A grown-ass woman is bouncing one of my ringlets with this look on her face like she's just discovered the secret to eternal happiness. I glare, but she just looks at me, blinks, then plucks my hair again. I ask her to stop in English. She apparently can't hear me. I ask her to stop in Japanese. She goes wide-eyed in terror, like many Japanese people do when white folks know their secret language, and scuttles back into the crowded compartment to hide behind some fat guy. I looked for her a few minutes later and she was still staring at me like I was a unicorn. Random Japanese train ladies, why you gotta be so racist? I guess this really isn't accidental, but it was awkward. And standing by that lady was certainly an accident. Oh dude, that's so mean. You were her unicorn, man. I didn't sign up to be no goddamn unicorn. Easy. My good buddy used to throw these pool parties for all of our friends back in the day. The pool was small, so when about 10 to 15 people were in it, it was pretty cramped. I'm not sure why, but my buddy's girlfriend was swimming towards me, while I backward doggy paddled, kind of kicking my feet while swimming backwards. Well, as it turned out, one of my kicks slid up her inner thigh, slipped past her swimsuit bottoms, and I towed her vagina. We locked eyes as if to make a mutual agreement never to mention this event to my buddy, and I immediately left the pool. They are still dating today, and it's still awkward 8 years later. I towed a girl vagina. Boner on a packed subway car. It was pressed right against her butt, just kept whispering "I'm so sorry" into her ear. She must have been so scared. Some random guy poking her just repeatedly saying "I'm so sorry." Elderly gent pressing his crotch against my knee on the bus. Edit. Thinking about it now, I'm not sure it was accidental. I'm trying to visualize this and the only thing I can come up with is him teabagging your leg. Please tell me I'm wrong. You're not wrong. Was joking around with my friends, gesturing wildly, and accidentally hit a guy's ballsack. Then on top of that, as he straightens himself and I try to apologize to him, I then somehow magically proceed to smack him in the face. Yeah. So freaking awkward. Edit. Why? Yes, I was sorry. Of course, I forgot to mention, after smacking him in the face, we both look at each other awkwardly for a good 3 seconds, and then sorta half giggle embarrassingly, and then we both walk off. Alpha as F. He had it coming and you both knew it. The girl I was interested in at the time knocked on my suite door one morning. I had just woken up and was sporting a solid half chub of morning wood. Somehow thinking my pajama pants could hide this fact, I get up and open the door only to be greeted by a big hug from her. After a few seconds I felt my dick rub up against her leg. She didn't say anything but she knew. She had to. She left and I stood there mortified for a while. Didn't see much of her after that. Edit. The reason she stopped by was because she had been gone all weekend. This is at college, by the way. She didn't leave as soon as my dick touched her, but didn't make a habit of staying much longer either. Not the most awkward, but the most glazed into my mind at the moment. I was flirting with my crush. We have this game where we touch the ends of our pencils to the opposite's kneecap. Whoever at the end of the day did it last, wins. Well, I was playing a game with her after a test. It was that one square game thing, and I nonchalantly decided to tap my eraser to her kneecap. I had the pointed side of my mechanical pencil facing her knee. Shit was razor sharp. Fucking grazed her leg with it, and I had that "oh shit, this isn't good" feel immediately. Awkward silence then broke out into a little yelp of pain and then blood. But I won that day. So I was in the school bus, then the bus stopped suddenly, which resulted in me falling and face-planting my face in the girl's crotch. In 7th grade my class was all standing in line and another kid suddenly grabbed my hand and forced it onto a girl's chest. Technically it wasn't an accident, but it sure was awkward. I was talking to a really attractive girl at a bar and my friends bumped enough to lose my balance and fall on her. My hands were in front of me and they ended up on her boobs. Luckily, she understood it was an accident and she actually bought me a drink cause I felt so bad. But I didn't go home with her though. This sounds like one of those retardedly lucky scenes in an anime. So I'm talking to my buddy in the hallway when he asks where the nearest bathroom was, so I, not looking, whipped my arm up and was going to point behind me. However, this chick was standing just to my left and got the full force of my backhand to her face. Needless to say, my pimp hand is strong. I just hope she learned her lesson. We played a game at a family party where you popped balloons on each other and whoever pops the most the fastest wins. I put the balloon on my partner's back. She was a cutie BTW. I hug her so I can pop it and it won't pop. I kept going back and forth so it would pop. Balloon ended up at her butt cause gravity. Fuck me and my competitive nature, I thrust at her 3 times hard while pulling her. It finally pops, but at this point it looked like I was trying to bang her. The families had a look of shock and I was embarrassed, but tried to act it off. An hour later I start talking to her and she gave the look. We made out throughout the night and other fun activities. Family party. Made out throughout the night. I used to work at a hospital, orderly stuff, late shift, exhausted. I had been pushing patient beds around all day, replacing my gloves often because dead people or snot kids and whatnot. I'm pushing a sleeper through a weird side wing of the ICU. A lone nurse takes over, bends over patient, starts tapping them or whatever nurses do with sleepers. I am pulling off my rubber gloves and say, "Do you need anything else?" Glove sorta sticks, then snaps out and hits her ass hard. Oh, she kinda turned and smiled, but I booked it out of there so I wouldn't be fired for sexual harassment. When I was about 8 or 9 years old, I was waiting in a queue at a homewares shop with my dad and sister. I think I must have been distracted by something, because for whatever reason, I didn't notice that my dad and sister left. As in, they got out of the queue to get something else, and then gone to the end. I just kept moving forward with the line, thinking my dad was standing in front of me. I started leaning against him and hugging his arm and cuddling up to him, like annoying kids do. It took my brain a couple seconds to register that he didn't smell like my dad. Suddenly, I looked up to see that the guy I was weirdly hanging onto was actually a 20 to 30-something-year-old with his wife, girlfriend. He didn't say anything, just looked at me bizarrely. I immediately got the hell out of the line and found my dad and sister, who didn't even notice I hadn't been with them all along. I watched the couple walk out of the store, and noted that they were laughing hysterically once outside. I was so mortified about this, I wanted to die for weeks. I tried to snuggle with a stranger while waiting in line at a shop. Back in high school when I was a freshman, I accidentally brushed a girl's ass as I was walking by her. She is adamant it was on purpose. Accuses me all class, so, as we were leaving, I say, "Can I at least grab her ass if I'm being accused of it?" She consented. We dated for a year after that, then on and off for the next 4 or 5, still best friends over a decade later.